everyone. So in my many years of working with A-level students, the one thing I've realized is that something everybody struggles with almost as much as actually taking the exam is getting ready to take the exam. Most students struggle with just getting started. So in this video, I'm going to talk about how you can get started because you can't finish something until you start it, and how you can plan and execute your plan and stick to your plan once you've started studying. So step one, before you can even start to plan, is figuring out what are the materials you have to work with. So which textbooks do you have? What are the videos that you need from Alt Academy? What revision materials do you have? Do you have enough past paper books? And if you don't, FYI, we've got them all in our database. You can search. So you need to find exactly all the stuff that you're going to need to refer to and use as you implement your study plan. And obviously you need to do this before you make the plan, because if there's anything missing, you can go out and you can find it. You can use Alt, or you can use a bookstore, old-fashioned, but works. Now, once you've got all your materials in place, you can organize those materials. Of course, if you're a learner on our platform, you'll know that all of our material is organized in a way that you can very easily access and use it, but you should also organize all your other materials. You might have used other videos, you might use other textbooks, and it's good to have that variety of materials. Once you've gathered all your resources, then step two is to start the planning process. So you need to go through the past papers. You're going to do this for 3 reasons. The first of these reasons is you should become familiar with what each component requires of you, which component is multiple choice, which one has a combination maybe of short questions and essay questions, which one is just short questions, which one includes problems that you should solve, which applies to some subjects. And then the next thing you need to look at those papers for is to see which topics are the most commonly tested. They'll keep on repeating themselves, and the more papers you look at, and I suggest you should look at least the last 4 to 5 years papers, you should be able to identify patterns in what is tested and how often it's tested. And the third reason you're looking at these papers is because that will also help you identify which topics you struggle with the most. Now, remember, it's okay to struggle with certain concepts and certain topics. It's really important that you're very honest with yourself about where you need to put in the most effort and the most work. Now, once you've got your sort of understanding of past papers clear, then you're going to move on to creating the plan. To create the plan, take the list of topics from the syllabus, make sure you've highlighted the ones that most commonly are tested in past papers, and then you're also going to highlight the ones that you find you have struggled with the most. To make your plan, organize those topics into weekly chunks. You can break the week down further into day to day, the way we have in our Alt in 60 or Alt in 90 plans, if you want to get a little bit of a feel of what that chunk per week or per day should look like. Once you've broken down your topics into weekly chunks, then you should start thinking about executing your plan. So that's the actually getting started with the getting started part of the process. Things are going to happen while you're learning. Okay. You can avoid some of those things. The most common thing is that this amazing device is going to ring. Turn the ringer off. Eliminate all the possible distractions that you can from your environment. Top tip: always eat problems for breakfast. Always try and do the most difficult topics first, because that way you can spend more time on them. And when you need to give yourself a brain break, you can just go to an easier topic and then you can flip back to a more challenging topic. So always remember that. Think about what are the learning techniques that would work best. Some that I would like to share with you are spaced repetition, which means after every few days, go back to what you had learned a few days prior and make sure you still remember it. The second thing you should do or could consider doing, interleaving. When you're interleaving, you're using a combination of related, possibly topics or subtopics that you study, and that keeps things interesting, and it also helps you understand the ways in which all of these materials in your syllabus, all of these pieces of information, concepts, ideas are all related. And the third way you can do this is also called the Feynman technique, which is actually really interesting. You should try to teach the material to someone else. If you can't find a study buddy, then try and teach it to your mom, your dad, or even your cat. It helps. It helps because when you're trying to explain something to someone, it will highlight to you whatever the gaps are in your own understanding. So try it. It helps. Active recall. When you're practicing active recall, you're going to, let's say, read something and then close the book. And then you're going to sit and you're going to think, what did I just read? That's active recall. You're literally engaging your brain into actively remembering, i.e. recalling what you just learned. So lots of different things you can try, and of course you should choose what works best for you. I would also suggest that you try to use a combination of writing and watching together so that you learn more effectively. One really important element that should be built into your plan is practicing past papers. Remember, I told you, you should look at all the past papers that you can find for a subject so that you get a good sense of the format and the layout of the paper and how much time you have available, as well as sort of like the pattern in which topics are tested. Now, once you've done that, you also need to practice past papers. Sometimes the most intimidating or frightening thing about taking an exam is not knowing what to expect of yourself when you're in that exam setting. When you practice past papers, you get the added benefit of sort of telling your brain what to expect already so that when you walk into that exam room, you won't be overwhelmed. Second, when you're practicing past papers, it will train your brain to respond to questions in the amount of time that you have available to solve those questions in an exam setting. So you must practice papers because it will also help you understand exactly where there might be small misperceptions or misconceptions in the way you've understood material. Solving past papers is a beautiful way of highlighting those so that you can work more on areas that you might have been struggling with. So you've gotten through all of the how to plan and how to start executing your plan, but the last and very important piece of the puzzle is how do you stick to your plan? This is something that can be as challenging as actually making the plan. Every time you get distracted, don't be super hard on yourself. Get up, walk around, take a small break. It will help you. Don't take too long a break. Be flexible, don't be flaky. Now, once you've taken a break, go back, get back to it. If it's a topic that you feel like, you're really just hitting a roadblock against, leave it. Come back to it the next day when your mind is refreshed. Use your time perhaps on a different subject or an easier topic within that same subject. Maybe practice a couple of questions. Maybe, honestly, take a 20-minute break from it, or you can also try to break your study session up into 20-minute chunks. This is called the Pomodoro technique. It's very helpful to make sure you're efficient in completing certain tasks. So maybe if you decided that you'll solve 40 differentiation questions and after the second one you really can't focus, well, tell yourself, for 20 minutes, I'm gonna do 10 questions, then I'll take a 5-minute break, then I'll do 10 more, and then so on and so forth. You would be using a variation of the Pomodoro technique. And when all else fails and you start to feel a little demotivated and exhausted, remember you're not alone. Every student, including myself, who's taken the A-levels, has felt overwhelmed, has felt exhausted, has felt demotivated, has felt afraid. It's all right. It's perfectly okay. Now, when you feel all of those things, don't push them away. Don't pretend like they're not happening. Call a friend. Speak to a teacher. Maybe reach out to our guidance team. We're always here to listen to you and to help you. And last, and absolutely not the least, very, very important, during the whole time that you are preparing and you are planning and you are practicing and you are learning and reading and stressing, just take care of your sleep and your meals. Eat healthy and get 8 hours of sleep. Hydrate. These are 3 very easy things to do, and you may not realize, but they will help your attention, your focus, your actual ability to sit through a 3-hour exam, which can be physically exhausting as well, by the way. And of course, we all know that when you get a good night's sleep, your memory is better the next day. So I hope that that has helped you. I wish you all the very, very best. All of us at Alt Academy are rooting for you. Just, make the plan, implement the plan, stick to the plan, and I guarantee you will ace your exams.